So this video log is about observations and reactions to the dialogue processing that we did last week. I felt that it was really helpful, really useful. I was disappointed that we didn't have time to do all of the groups, but I was able to share about one of my dialogues, so I got the sharing and getting feedback specifically, as well as the giving feedback and listening to other people's feedback experiences. So I felt like it really helped me in both respects. The first dialogue that we did was Trevor and Pooja's, and I really liked asking them questions about things that they do that we also do in my dialogues, and how they do it, what methods they use, what problems they've run into. For example, with the social identity wheel, I've run into a lot of problems with the students being really resistant to the middle portion of the social identity wheel and, ranking or giving certain importance to some of the identities. A lot of people will ignore the identities completely and say, my family is most important to me, school is most important to me, and they're not really thinking critically about where that all stems from, which is themselves. The specific question that I asked was about salience, and it really helped, especially when Becky covered it also, to hear how other people are explaining it, because I just figured I was doing something wrong. I need to emphasize more that it's about the social identities, not about anything that you want. And I liked that Becky said use lots and lots of descriptive ways, different descriptions of what salience is. So what's most important to you, what affects you the most, what do you feel like affects the things that you do during the day, what are you most passionate about, etc. So that was helpful. It also was just helpful to see some other dialogues and how they're running, because besides the very smooth dialogues that we have in class, I've never actually attended one or been a part of one because we didn't have the new student dialogues until last year. So it was really helpful just to feel like that my particular dialogues aren't completely out there, that they're all kind of running the same way, they're all kind of having the same problems, all kind of having the same successes, so that was good. The one that we had time to go over for me was the one about homosexual, bisexual, transsexual, LGBTQ, and religion, and we definitely got some great feedback that I've changed a couple of things around in both my dialogues because of. For example, for the norms, I didn't even remember what the norms said. I just kind of assumed that I knew them. So for the first couple of dialogues in both my one with Susanna and my one with Marie, we just kind of handed out the norms and said, quietly read to yourselves. But we don't hear them, so it doesn't reinforce them for us each time. And they probably aren't reading them. We can't give them the adequate amount of time for some of them to read, while some of them have finished, within 2 minutes. So it was unorganized and ineffective. So when we heard that other people were reading them out loud, actually I had kind of adapted that one before last class because I saw Victor doing it when I started working with Victor in the third dialogue that I've been doing recently. I saw him do it that way, and I was like, that makes so much more sense. We should really change that around. So that was also some of the feedback that Lisa gave me and also in my partner's little dialogue assessment sheets. So we changed that around. Also, with my dialogue with Susanna, we felt a little disjointed. We have three really big activities, and two of them take a fair amount of time to actually do. So we wouldn't have as much time to really delve into dialogue, and when we finally got to that point where we were getting somewhere, we would have to stop and do another activity. So now we have combined two of the activities. They're separate activities, but we do them back to back, and we just tell people to hold on to questions, hold on to comments, feelings, etc. If you need to write anything down, absolutely, but we just kind of fly through both activities because they're very different. One is kind of more hands-on, kind of light, silly. Some of the things, make you laugh. And then the other one is very serious, total silence, very personal and introspective. And I like that they're so different because it really sets them apart and it gives you two totally different sides of the issue kind of. And I just think it affects them so differently. They're easy to differentiate even though we do them together. And that way, we break into one big dialogue after we have the entire remainder of the time to have that dialogue. So we get past that awkward, who's going to speak, is this going to be awkward, is this going to be slow, is this going to be boring, what are we going to talk about? We get past that awkward 5-10 minutes and really get into the point where they're just feeding off each other, really putting out new ideas, sharing personal experiences. So I really liked that we restructured a couple of things in the one with Susanna. And we tried out a new icebreaker, and we decided that we may just take part of the icebreaker that we have written in and put it in a different activity and use new connections. So I really thought that by this time, both of my dialogues would be steady, stable. I would be, it would be routine. But I had no idea that by October I would still be completely rearranging my outline. And, they're never the same. The students are never the same. Sometimes I haven't had the instance where either of my partners have been absent yet, but that is soon to come. In fact, this week I think Marie is going to be absent from my dialogue, so that's going to be a totally new experience, trying to facilitate it primarily, knowing the material and having done it so many times, and then also, leaving space for my new co-facilitator to kind of add in and make sure that she or he is feeling like she's up to speed and knows what's going on. So that's going to be totally different. And I guess it's just really surprising me that it's still changing so much. It's not stable yet, and it probably won't ever be. So that's a little frustrating, but still interesting, and it keeps it from being boring. It keeps it from being just a chore. I'm always learning something new, even though I'm co-facilitating the dialogue. So that's really neat. And I feel like just in general with dialogue processing, I know every time Becky has talked about how the dialogues are going, she's very affirmative and saying, there are only a couple of things that are going wrong. We're just going to try to process them, go through them, but it's not a serious problem and it's not all of you. But the fact that we had to stop research completely for 2 weeks to go over the problems that we've been having in dialogue makes me really nervous that we're doing something completely wrong. And then getting the feedback from Lisa was a real disappointment that I wasn't expecting. I mean, I understand that the numbers are for, just research use and they shouldn't reflect how we are. And also I realize that it's all very subjective to which dialogue you get and dependent on what kind of people you get, what situations come up, how your co-facilitator's feeling, how you're feeling. So it's not a reflection of me as a whole in my peer dialogue facilitator role. However, it was still a downer because there wasn't a single 4. There were very few 3s, and I don't know, it was just hard to see that and know that I feel like I'm so much better than that says I am. And it got me racking my brain to how that dialogue went and thinking that it went so much better than it apparently did. It was just really hard. And of course, Becky and Rachel and Lisa have been really affirmative and really positive about the whole thing, but it was something that I had to process because it was difficult to be expected. So I'm a little sad that we're moving away from dialogue processing because I've really enjoyed the process and I feel like it has absolutely helped me. But we're moving back into research now, so that's exciting. And today we are picking a topic, I believe, so that's really exciting. And hopefully the next round of assessment will go much better. And hopefully what I've taken from the processing and the dialogue processing will make my dialogues go better from here on out. So all good things, and looking forward to starting our research project.